Ashoka, the most famous and greatest emperor of India. We all know him, but do you know this aspect of Ashoka? And why does this debate of Ashoka become important for UPSC? Because Ashoka is that important historical personality who cannot be understood from mere facts. And a simple question like state the characteristics or contributions of Ashoka to the Indian history is not something UPSC asks to test a serious aspirant. UPSC is most likely to ask those questions which are debated around the Ashoka. Something like how did or why did Ashoka, with enormous political and military power, choose to inculcate morality into his governance? Or another question, something like could be, did Ashoka's Dhamma represent a new model for ethical statecraft? Or another question which is most important, which relates to this one, is that did Ashoka's Dhamma or did his emphasis on peace and non-violence lead to limitations of his political ambitions of the Mauryan Empire? That's where Ashokan topic becomes very important, because it connects multiple dimensions in GS1 paper. Like it connects the evolution of the kingship and the spread of Buddhism, the administrative part of the Mauryan Empire, and the interpretation by multiple historians, and the ethics and governance part too. So, before going into the core topic, let's see how UPSC can frame questions on this debate. Ashoka's Dhamma represented an attempt to establish ethical governance rather than merely promote Buddhism. Discuss. The Kalinga War transformed Ashoka from a conqueror into a ruler committed to moral governance. Examine. Ashoka's policy of Dhamma was a practical response to the challenges of governing a diverse empire. Analyze. Was Ashoka's policy of non-violence responsible for the decline of the Mauryan Empire? Critically examine. And the last one, Ashokan inscriptions provide important insights into administration, society and political philosophy in ancient India. Discuss. So, based on all these questions, let's first see some of the features of Ashokan policies, and the difference. The main question was that the Dhamma question. So, some confuse the Ashokan Dhamma with the Buddhist Dhamma, whereas Buddhist Dhamma was just a religious philosophy, but then Ashokan Dhamma was completely different, though it did take some part from the Buddhism. Like for example, Ashoka did not believe that he wanted to stop wars and not have any military, but he preached that there should not be any violent conquest from his side, because he wanted to focus on his own subjects and improve the lives and livelihoods of his own people through welfare schemes, and he changed the definition of kingship into ethical behavior, welfare of subjects and social harmony, rather than the traditional definition of kingship was conquest, expansion and military glory. So, Dhamma was essentially philosophy of governance rather than a religious practice. To understand Ashoka, let's look into some of the historical sources. The first one, most important one, is the Ashokan edicts. The rock edicts and the pillar edicts that we have seen in the Kandahar or the UP regions, like something like this, the Sarnath, the lion capital. So, they reveal the governance ideas and the welfare ideas and the religious tolerance that he preached. So, and other Buddhist texts that talked about his administration and philosophy were Deepavamsa and Mahavamsa, and archaeological evidence like the stupas of Buddha that he had established during the second sermon of Buddhist council, the Sanchi, Kesariya, these three are very important. Now let's look at the historical debate. Was it a practical decision or an impractical one to preach Dhamma instead of the traditional political expansionary policies? Multiple historians had multiple interpretations and opinions regarding this. The H.C. Raya Chaudhary was of the opinion that he was a great ruler, but then his ideals were more idealistic rather than practical, and they some sort of had an effect over the imperial strength of the empire. And Vincent Smith thought that it was an impractical decision. And Romila Thapar, she gave a very interesting opinion. It was a political and social policy aimed at maintaining the unity in a diverse empire, because he wanted to have a social harmony among all the sections of the society because of the caste system that existed back then. And the modern interpretation could be that you can have a balanced opinion and argument regarding this. Just write and be of opinion that he was a practical ruler and he was the first innovator of such kind of philosophy or philosophical decision to be brought into the governance and administration. You have to highlight that. And then, of course, the earliest example of welfare-oriented governance. We see welfare-oriented governance, especially in the democratic states of the modern world, but Ashoka brought it much thousands of years ago itself, and that has to be highlighted. So after all these perspectives, the focus is not about was he practical or impractical, it's mostly about how he transformed the definition of kingship and what the king has to do for his people. Now let's take a model question and see how we can answer that. The question is, Ashoka's Dhamma represent an attempt to establish ethical governance rather than merely promote Buddhism. Discuss. So give an introduction and talk about the debate, why Ashoka chose Kalinga, why he chose the Dhamma path after Kalinga, and try to integrate moral principles with his administration. And then in the body, you talk about the kind of evidences we have seen where he had given his moral principles, kind of Romila Thapar's interpretation of challenges of ruling a diverse empire, and that's why he wanted social harmony. And you give the features of the Dhamma, like respect for elders, establishment of Dhamma Mahamatras to take care of the law and order, especially the welfaristic activities, and the compassion, moral conduct of the people have to be taken care, and then the religious tolerance points in the rock edicts, and the welfare measures like the medical facilities, the infrastructure, or the roads, the trees beside the roads for the people who walk. The other point you can touch upon is, of course, that the difference between the Buddhist Dhamma and Ashokan Dhamma, you would say that it's not a religious philosophy, whereas it was a governance framework with inculcation of philosophical morals, which the main aim was to bring in social harmony and law and order, and give a critical analysis, make it balanced, and give the arguments which are for the statement and against the statement. For example, it supports a lot of social castes that have been downtrodden, and then there is no proper development among all those people. And conclude it very balanced again. The one I have given is something very elaborative, but you can cut down some points. You can write, by linking authority with moral responsibility, he introduced a unique model of ethical governance whose relevance continues in contemporary debates on leadership and administration, and talk about how, especially in democratic states, we can take inspiration from Ashokan moral philosophies on the welfaristic policies and rights of freedom, especially in India. So I have given some questions in these slides. I want students to attempt in your own, and then upload them on the sosinis.com, Sosin AI bot, and get your answers instantly evaluated and improve your content, structure, and presentation, and learn much more points from it. So, and also you can write more points from the daily and monthly news diary, which talks about the art and history and art and culture recent developments. So, because UPSC doesn't want to test whether you remember facts, but it wants to test whether you can interlink concepts and analyze various dimensions. Thank you.